This is where I bought my first bag of heroin. It was 1980. I was 24 years old. But in a lot of ways, my whole life up to that point was leading to this address. Western Massachusetts, the unlikely new frontier of America's war on drugs, where heroin has become an exploding problem that's begun to touch nearly every family.
I took a walk through this beautiful world, felt the cool rain on my shoulder, found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la,
There's nothing like the North Atlantic. It's majestic. Yeah, I love the beach. Pretty much had my first everything on a beach. You name it, first time I did it, beach. I was miserable in love, happy in love, alternately, as only a 17-year-old could be. This is where I lived. A very happy summer in the early 70s, and that was my room on the left. It's an amazing spot if you think about it. A bunch of knuckleheads working as dishwashers and waiters and pizza servers. You know, we could live on a beach like this. You know, happier, stupider times. You know, I can still hear the playlist. Strawberry Letter and the Brothers Johnson. If you put on Marvin Gaye right now, I'd burst into tears. What do? You're young, you go to the beach, you know, you get laid and you get high. It was here, all the way out at the tip of Cape Cod, Provincetown, Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims first landed. And it was where I first landed. 1972, washed into town with a head full of orange sunshine and a few friends. Provincetown, a wonderland of tolerance, long-time tradition of accepting artists, writers, the badly behaved, the gay, the different. It was paradise. The joy that can only come with an absolute certainty that you're invincible, that none of the choices that you make will have any repercussions or any effect on your later life, because we didn't think about those things. I don't even know what I thought I was going to be. At that point, I certainly didn't think I was going to be a cook. I don't know what I thought I was going to be. I was just, you know, hanging out in a beautiful place. A golden time. I look back on those fuzzy memories and they seem golden anyway. Oh, there's John Waters. First love, and there's me. This guy, Johnny Yingling, was sort of a central figure in all of our lives.
Well, my name is John Yingling, and this is Spiritus Pizza. It's been here since 1971. This town is everything to me. Provincetown is a really special place where people can be themselves. We all did drugs, acted young and crazy, and Tony was probably a little wilder than some and not as wild as others. But he was always the guy who I always liked.
And you let me sleep on top of the walk-in.
Right, I actually remember that.
Spiritus. I cannot tell you how frequently I dream about Spiritus Pizza. I'm walking down Commercial Street, and I'm sort of dimly aware that Spiritus has moved, and there's a sense of dislocation and a loss as I stumble around this sort of Provincetown dreamscape of 40 years ago. Well, we're still here and living in hope. Cheers. Unbelievable. Many of the old places in P-Town are gone. But the Lobster Pot is still going strong all these years later, and still has what I want and need, the essentials. My friends worked in the kitchen here, starting the tradition among my set that cooking work was noble toil. At that point, I never intended a career as a chef.
It was great to be a cook.
I was getting to that. Oh, yes.
So this is homemade Portuguese kale soup, made on the premises.
It's been a long time, thank you.
Enjoy.
Portuguese soup, a P-town version of the Azorean caldo verde, and just what I remembered. Kale, fiery red chorizo, linguiça, kidney beans, potatoes.
Oh, I missed you. Yeah, I missed you bad.
And that was precisely what I loved about the food here, the Portuguese thing. Dishes like this stuffed cod crusted with ground Portuguese sausage, breadcrumbs, stuffed with scallop and crab, some sherry, red sauce.
I hadn't been working for a while. I was a deadbeat. I mean, I'm just, scarfing off everybody else. And Nancy Poole comes home from work and says, our dishwasher didn't show up today. You're our new dishwasher. I said, oh, really? And the next day, I put on the apron, and I didn't take it off for 30 years. I'd wake up, and all of us go to the beach, hang out on the beach till like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it was fun.
Roll into work all night, drinking, getting high, drilling out food. You got all the food you wanted, all the liquor you wanted.
All the sex you wanted.
All the sex you wanted.
It was true. It was fun. We had a great time.
And yet you were still an essential part of the economy.
It was a lot of fun, believe me, I remember.
The flagship. It's where my cooking career started, where I started washing dishes, where I started having pretensions of culinary grandeur.
It would seem like a good gig for anybody. Who else got to live like that during that time? You had to sort of be in a band. And here we were, we were dishwashers.
Now you get a little older and you get a little more sense and you realize that, you gotta, pace yourself a little bit.
Otherwise, we still wouldn't be here. Well, many of our friends from those days that didn't make it.
Many of my friends are dead, yeah.
As you were. Keep drinking, keep drinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
This place has been here forever. It used to be the back room.
Back room's still there.
See, it's all falling into place again.
Yeah, it's not that much different.
It's early spring now, but come Memorial Day, it gets crazy around here and doesn't stop till Labor Day. Provincetown was always gay-friendly, in my time and way, way before my time. And this place, the Atlantic House, known always and forever by locals and visitors alike as the A House, is America's oldest operating gay bar. Everybody has come through these doors, so to speak. Most notably, a naked and frolicking Tennessee Williams.
Is the floor still shake, or did they fix it?
No, when
that's
we
really
changed it,
too bad.
everybody got seasick and started tripping. Now that it's even, they all say, let me have a cocktail so I can get my sea legs back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
April Cabral owns the joint now, taken over for her father, the legendary Reggie Cabral, a forward-thinking dude, if there ever was one.
It was built in 1798.
How long in the family, in your family?
Over 75 years. My father, during that time, he had Billie Holiday appeared, he had Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald, all the big names of jazz.
How has town changed? Has it changed?
Oh, I think tremendously. Gay lifestyle is much more accepted.
Look, in 1972, my feeling was that this was a gay town and that I was here at the pleasure of, somebody else, which is sort of the opposite of everywhere outside of here at that time.
Oh, yes.
This was a largely Catholic, Portuguese, conservative fishing community, but it was also known as Helltown.
It was Helltown. That's where the Puritans sent their rejects. Right out here.
Right. Farther out on the hook.
That's not kidding. Provincetown, I think, always had the mixture, really, of the bohemian people and the fishermen, the pirates, the writers, the drunks, all that.
Anyone who had a lifestyle outside the mainstream was welcome here, pretty much.
Whatever floats your boat, It's all good.
Oh, how I wish we could both go back to that summer.
Over a century ago, Provincetown was a hard-working fishing village with multi-generational families of fishermen.
My name's Bo Gribben. My father fished, and I was pretty much raised here my whole life, where I'm from. It's who I am. But it used to be like 2 out of 3 families in this town, this community, were fishing families. Most of them are now gone, and we're really like a minority. It used to be a fishing community with a homosexual problem. Now it's a homosexual community with a fishing problem.
The first Portuguese fishermen arrived here in 1840. The Main families created a community built around fishing, and this town lived off that industry well into the 20th century. It persisted even when I was here, keeping up old Catholic fishing traditions like the blessing of the fleet. These days, however, there are fewer and fewer boats to bless.
My name's Scott Rowe. I'm a commercial fisherman. Sea scallops, 4th generation. I started when I was 5. It was cool back then. There was like 70 or 80 boats here. They were 5 or 6 deep. Now it's just down to like 7 or 8. No, I'm wicked proud of my heritage, and I would never do anything else. This is my office, man. Look at it. I'm gonna do this until I can't move anymore. We roll into town like clockwork, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's quiet. The town's been ripped up all night long. We come down here, hit the water. What could be better?
Well, good time to be here, and nice weather today.
Yeah, pretty nice day.
Doing good.
It's a little breezy.
It might be a little nautical.
All right.
A little bit.
I'm sure I'll be fine. I've watched The Deadliest Catch, so
So you ready?
I'm ready.
Time to press the fun button. Clear. All clear. Used to be that it was the best thing in the world. We were like, the greatest thing about fishing was you were kind of like a cowboy, like a pioneer. You could go out and as hard as you could push, competition was welcome. We were fiercely independent. That independence is like little by little by little taken away.
Is there a limited number of stuff out there?
Well, there's a total allowable catch. We're on a 600-pound trip limit right now.
And the payout ain't much. Do the math. A good day of scalloping brings in, say, 9,000 bucks. From that 9,000, take away 3,000 for the lease, 1,000 for fuel, and split the remainder amongst the crew. And on top of that, fishing's really just a crapshoot. Many days, there's simply nothing to catch. So why the are you doing this?
Well, it's still what we love to do. Like for us, we say it all turns to shit when we come back around the breakwater. Like once we get out to there, we feel like we're at home.
Like I said, it ain't easy. Today, according to Bo, Scott, and Zeb, this was just a little breeze. How rough does it have to be when you look out and say, I'm not going out today?
It starts like blowing like 30, 35. We like days like this because the competition stays in. Really?
Pussies.
My dad used to say, when you're dry, you're not making any money. We're fishing.
So it's taking a snap and come flying back, take your head off.
Not too often, no.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it's a bummer. In the summer, you'll be able to smell the coconut. Another big trick we have, because now the guys decided they like this part of the beach, right? So they're all out here nude sunbathing. So I pick up my glasses and I tell them, wow, look at the breasts on that girl. And you give it to them and they see something they weren't expecting to see. It works every time, though. Can't believe he didn't cook nothing. Can't believe it, man. What? Got Anthony Bourdain on deck. We don't even have nothing to eat. The best part of it, the anticipation to see what's in there. So every tow, I'm like, I just can't wait. You're like looking, you're like, what's gonna be in there? What's gonna be in there? Sometimes it's a disappointment, but a lot of times it's a disappointment. How many did we get? Got a few. Is there? All right, we're out. That's why it's fishing and not catching.
Yeah.
They'll taste all that much better.
This place had been here forever when I rolled into town. How long has this place been open?
For our time. I think this is the only place in town that's unchanged.
These are paintings of customers?
Yeah.
How long do I have to drink here to get my face up there? 40 years?
Couple more years.
Yeah, at least.
Back when I worked in town for fishermen, there was the Forecastle, Cookie's Tap Room, and this place, the Old Colony. Of the three, It's the only one left.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, wait a minute, I recognize these. Yeah, you guys eat scallops?
Yeah.
As brawny, hardworking men of the sea, we deserve these beers, these finest of all oysters, the Wellfleets.
Wow.
The finest oysters known to man. How are you, man? These are fantastic. Wow, what a treat. Is there going to be a next generation of fishermen in the family? What happens after you guys?
It's gonna die.
The next generation of fishermen that are like coming onto our boats, they're opportunists for the income. It's not for the love of being on the water.
This is the end. The fisheries is gonna die. Cheers.
All right. Thank you, guys. Cheers. This is going to end badly.
Hey.
Cheers. Cheers to you.
It's a nice house. I mean, it just feels like I never left in a lot of ways, but of course, it's 40 years later almost. And that was the Sodom and Gomorrah by the sea over there. You know, a big candy store for a horny, stupid 17-year-old with a taste for chemicals. You know, I was an angry young man. What the hell was I so angry about? It came as a rude surprise to me when I turned 30, because I'd always sort of figured I'd be dead by then. I was still quite some time away from my first bag of heroin, but you know, there's a lot of ways it was a foregone conclusion. My whole life was sort of leading up to that point, to my first bag of dope. I left Provincetown with restaurant experience, a suntan, and an ever-deepening relationship with recreational drugs. I went to culinary school, then to New York City, and never returned. Today, however, I'm staying in Massachusetts, heading over to the western part of the state, one of the most beautiful areas of the country, the gorgeous mill towns, Victorian houses, deeply felt, famously upright New England values, Norman Rockwell America, where something really inexplicable and unexpected has happened.
Bucolic New England is a new mecca for heroin use.
Emergency room admissions, overdose deaths. We have rural law enforcement areas dealing with crimes being committed that never happened before.
Detectives are working around the clock. Dealers are making a killing.
Not New York or Baltimore or LA or Chicago, but rural towns like this one are now statistically ground zero for the heroin epidemic. What the hell happened?
The next couple of years, if this heroin use trend continues to grow, it may be beyond getting a handle on. I'm a detective with the Greenfield Police Department, and my focus is undercover in narcotic investigations. This is a well-known area to us, very active. Heroin use, past year, it's just increased to a level I've never seen any other drug come into an area. People that are in it are all gonna be affected. It hasn't topped out yet. Someone you've known, someone you went to school with, someone you work with.
So, Sonny Crockett gets a Ferrari. What's wrong with this picture?
Tried the Lexus, but they said no way, so I got this one.
What's being reported in the national papers, there's been an explosion of heroin use, heroin-related crimes, overdoses. Now, how's that happen?
I think once this area realized that we had a heroin problem, we were already behind it, trying to play catch-up. We are on the 91 corridor. Route 91 has been dubbed the heroin highway at this point. It's a widely used road to go north and south. There's opportunists here, and for low money input, they're getting a high profit. That's the typical heroin packaging. There'll be bundles of 10, be 50 bags here.
So 60 to 80 bucks for 10.
They can charge whatever they want. It's all supply and demand.
That's one dose per for most people?
They'll do multiple bags, anywhere from 3 to 5 bags at a time, up to 30 bags a day. And the current economics of the town, I am the only one assigned to the narcotics position.
How many heroin addicts do you think are walking the streets of Greenfield right now?
I'm gonna say that we're in the high hundreds.
Wow.
We're in the high hundreds.
High hundreds.
Yeah. It's hitting every age group, economic household, it's out there.
So we don't have Crips and Bloods taking over motel rooms. The person selling you dope more likely to be familiar than a stranger.
I'm gonna meet a past distributor I've known for several years.
We meet Carmen, as we'll call her, a powerful local heroin dealer turned paid confidential police informant out in the woods. How'd you get into the business initially?
I needed the money. I needed to support my family. Couldn't get a job.
How easy was it to get into the dope business?
Not hard at all, because it's cheap.
Mm-hmm. Was there money in it?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like Mayberry out here from looking around. I mean, who's using heroin now? I mean, what were kids?
Kids.
Today's heroin epidemic is different than the one that raged through America in the 1970s in a few significant ways. Back then, heroin was mostly seen as a poor people problem, somebody else's problem, the sort of thing that musicians and criminals got into, marginal people far from the white main streets of Mayberry, USA. What those people did to themselves, well, it was unfortunate, but not our problem, until somebody broke into your house. Today, it's absolutely the reverse. The new addicts are almost entirely white, middle class, and from towns and areas like this. How do you think you make it better?
You don't.
Whoa, you don't?
No. There's going to be more robberies. There's going to be more killings. Take one person off the street here, 2 more come in.
At your peak, how many customers did you have?
Probably all of Greenfield.
What happened? How did the kid next door, along with mom, pop, and grandma too, become users of hardcore illegal narcotic drugs? The worst drug with the worst reputation?
I'll take you there.
Well, maybe start here.
Once you've found the right doctor and have told him or her about your pain, don't be afraid to take what they give you. Often, it will be an opioid medication.
Here's a 1996 promotional video from the fine folks at Purdue Pharmaceuticals. Sent around to doctors, it encouraged them to prescribe the latest, newest, most wonderful drug for long-term pain management, OxyContin.
Some patients may be afraid of taking opioids because they're perceived as too strong or addictive. But that is far from actual fact. Less than 1% of patients taking opioids actually become addicted.
Sales of OxyContin, initially and falsely proclaimed as not addictive, absolutely skyrocketed from $45 million in 1996 to $3.1 billion in 2010. That same year, Purdue tweaked the way they were making Oxy in an attempt to, they said, limit its addictive qualities. Finally, the government and law enforcement took a harsh look at the drug, and it became much harder to get legally, which sucked for the thousands and thousands who by now had a serious habit.
I'm Ruth Potee. I'm a family physician in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and I grew up here. My dad was actually a small-town doctor out here. I'm a total generalist, but for the last 4.5 years, a larger part of my practice has been focused on addiction to opiates.
You know, I got put on pain medication. Then when they started disappearing, everybody else was doing it.
The heroin.
You know, I can get a bag of heroin easier than I can get a joint.
And once they start, they just slip down that rabbit hole and, you know, maybe they make it out. That's our goal, is to get them out and to live healthy again. We've really, in our own way, created this mess that we're in now.
In downtown Greenfield, the People's Pint, an eco-conscious, locavorian pub that brews its own beer, uses only farm-fresh ingredients, and composts its leftovers. It's where I meet up with Dr. Potee for dinner. I guess my first question is, who's doing dope?
Everybody starts with pills. There's nobody who
Everybody.
Everybody starts with pills. There's nobody who goes from marijuana to heroin. There's an in-between step. Always pills. It's pills that people get from their doctor. From me, particularly the young people, had an injury, a sports-related injury, had their wisdom teeth out, and they felt awesome on the drug. And they were like, how can I get more of that? After 3 to 6 months of looking for more of that, they couldn't find it, and then they jumped.
Is it Big Pharma's fault? Is it doctor's fault? Is it who made a mistake here?
So I think it's complicated. I'm not going to say there's one entity here that's responsible, but there was a lot of money to be made by promoting the treatment of pain to the highest level. And Big Pharma made a lot of money on this. And I was taught in residency, you give people as much pain medicine as they need, you get them out of pain, we will judge your hospital, we will judge your emergency room based on your pain scores. That's how we were taught. And we were also told these medicines aren't really all that addictive. We started handing out pills like crazy. 100 million Americans have chronic pain. So we did a disservice as doctors and as prescribers. Like, we took data that was bullshit, right? And then we went forth with it and said, oh, prescribe it to everyone. They won't get addicted. We know what we're doing. Guess what? We didn't know what we were doing.
A few miles down the road from Greenfield is Shelburne Falls. The good old days that everybody used to talk about back when I was a kid. Sundays, church and picnics. Saturday nights, Sox games, beer, and bowling. The Shelburne Falls bowling alley is where time seems anyway to have stopped. First opened in 1906, this is the second oldest bowling alley in America, dedicated to old-school New England-style candlepin bowling. The Holy Rollers, a crowd of septuagenarians who grew up in Shelburne and plan, and this is a reasonable expectation, to kick my ass. They've been playing here since the 50s.
I was never allowed to come near the bowling alley.
Really, this is a den of iniquity?
Oh, this was, my aunt did not think this was a good idea.
Man, it's a tiny little ball. This looks really hard. All right.
It's very different, Shelburne Falls. I grew up here.
Right.
Very different. People don't know each other as well as everyone used to know each other.
When I grew up in Greenfield, everybody had jobs. I worked from the time I was 13. If I had to go back there now, I don't believe in drugs. I don't have anything to do with them. But what choice would I have? Standing on the corner? I probably would get into a business. What's a good business? Well-paying business. I'm sorry. I mean, that's where we are.
Yes, it used to be a very different world, towns like this one, and there were many. But like everywhere else, it seems the mills, the factories closed down, and with them a certain kind of social contract with the people who worked there.
My name is Ed Gregory, originally from Turners Falls, born and brought up here, born in 1945. My father was an employee of the Strathmore Mill, as was my grandfather. During the heyday, there were 3 paper mills, a cotton mill, a silk mill, a foundry. It was just a beehive of activity here.
Back then, a company town like this, the company actually took care of you. They built and provided homes for their employees, schools. The river provided energy. The company provided nearly everything else.
The heyday is gone. People are definitely struggling to find work. The town just kind of died during the 80s. When the folks came to work, they were immigrants.
Attracted by the manufacturing here?
Correct. You know, made it a possibility of owning a home in a real decent part of the county here. So my father was here, a millwright. A millwright's job is a jack of all trades, if you will, if there was something that needed to be repaired.
So you could work in a mill, live in a nice home, send your kids to school, make a living, all on a mill salary.
You bet.
It's unthinkable now, almost. What happened to the business?
Things are going to other countries, but not coming back to the United States.
This time became redundant.
Correct.
Again and again, all over the country, I keep running into situations like this, where industry has died or fled or simply relocated. I meet people like Charles Garbiel, hometown heroes who, for some reason, though they could probably go anywhere, take their skills and return to where they grew up. Shady Glen Diner. Today's special, a tribute to the old European immigrant culture of the area, the New England boiled dinner. So I hear rumors of corned beef and cabbage, is that right?
Yeah, we do, every week we do a corned beef and cabbage dinner.
slowly cooked corned beef, boiled potatoes, steamed cabbage. Wow, that's a beast. Awesome, thank you. How long have you been here?
2 years.
Were you from this area?
Yeah, I grew up here, and I've been coming here since a kid, and went through a few owners, and then it came up for sale, and decided to give it a shot.
Generally speaking, who are your customers?
Most of them, they're retirees. They've been coming here since they were 30.
And this you don't see so much anymore. Dino-era homemade pies, and lots of them, all baked on premises. Raspberry cream pie for me, thank you. This is not something that we see a lot of. Old school pie like that, and this number of them?
Yeah, everything is made here. And they're all the original recipes from the 60s, so.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the index cards are so old, they're all faded yellow.
This is exotic for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, how's business?
It's getting better. The drug problem has started to really get rampant. Took over May 1st, 2012, and by the end of that year, I was broken into 4 times. It wasn't just me that was broken into, it was multiple businesses time after time. I came in one morning to open up, and I actually had a guy in front of the register, and he got up and pulled a knife out. I realized it really wasn't worth anything over a knife, so.
I think what you're doing here is terrific. I mean, you know, our man can go and get a good hot open turkey sandwich and a good slice of pie. It's a beautiful thing.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Papa's gonna buy you a mockingbird.
My name is Heather Taylor.
And if that mockingbird won't sing,
I'm a mother of 3.
he's gonna buy you a diamond.
The 2 older kids experienced my addiction. My addiction started with pills. I started sniffing heroin. I shot up for the first time, and shortly thereafter, I found out I was pregnant. I had my daughter. She was in the hospital for 6 weeks because she was addicted to the methadone, and I had to watch my baby go through withdrawal. My son was 4, and my daughter was 6 weeks when they were taken away. I lost my kids for 33 days shy of 2 years. I became serious about my recovery.
So is this the bad part of town, or is this just a place where you're unlikely to be people to find you?
Just a place where people are unlikely to find you. I wouldn't necessarily say there was a bad part of Greenfield. I mean, it's probably pretty spread out bad, I guess you'd say.
So what would you do? Would you come here to shoot up?
Yep. You know, we'd go down here and just hang out down there. I bet if we walked along here, we'd probably find needles and bags and, you know.
So basically you'd come down here, shoot up, and then where are you gonna nod out? Just sit down and...
Just sit down and hang out, or if it's a day like this, probably just hang out under the underpass over there.
Not exactly La Vida Loca.
No, as you can see, all the trash and yuck. It's dirty and gross, and there's probably people who live down here.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of homeless people in Greenfield.
What do you think now, like when you see somebody like who's clearly junk sick on the street?
You know, it gives me that yuck, sick feeling, and it scares me. Like, it reminds me why I don't want to be out there. It's just scary. A friend of mine overdosed January 1st of this year, and my brother-in-law overdosed in Wendy's bathroom, and they found him, and they brought him back to life. He was dead in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my Narcan. I carry this around. I have one of these in my house, and I have one of these in my car. I have a fear that my husband's gonna relapse and I'm gonna find him dead. You just put this in here and squirt it up their nose.
Now, in most cases, as I understand it, they're right out of it. I mean,
Yeah, they're right
what's
out of it,
happening?
and they're instantly sick.
They don't wake up happy, but they wake up.
But they wake up.
Hey, you're in a piece where you walk to the bathroom, and there's
somebody's
somebody
on the
blue
floor.
there. Are you saving their life?
Yep, I'm saving that life. Absolutely. And then kicking their ass.
Better now? Life better now?
Absolutely. My kids have been home 3 years. You know, I no longer have to watch my back. You know, I live a pretty straight and narrow life, which, you know, people might say is boring, but I love my life today. I'm grateful.
Where are we headed?
This way.
Okay.
To the Recover Project. This is where my recovery started.
Started nearly a decade ago on one of the two main streets of Greenfield, the Recover Project is community-based, an open arms program aimed at helping addicts stay clean.
Given the opiate heroin epidemic in our community, we'd like to start the conversation, just kind of sharing with one another, you know, what happened at that point of our life, what that was like.
So as a child growing up in a home in addiction, I didn't understand how they could do all the stuff that they did to me and my brother and sister. Like, don't you love me enough? Then I became a mother, and then I became a heroin addict. And I did all that stuff to my kids.
My doctor was my biggest drug dealer. I fell down a flight of stairs. I'd just been married, had a baby, was working 2 jobs, college on top of it. Next thing you know, I'm on these prescriptions. That's where it all began for me.
What are the odds that you're gonna own a house? What's the odds that you're gonna have a nice car? Any car, a place to live, all that stuff? Seems less and less likely all the time. Contrast that with what happens when you stick a spike in your arm, and why wouldn't you?
So I have this picture in my head of when I got the phone call that my daughter's father had been in the accident and I had just had a C-section. And they come in with this needle to give me Ativan, I think, and all I really needed was a hug. Like, I just needed someone to come up to me and give me a hug and say, I care about you, Caitlin, and everything's gonna be okay.
I'll tell you something really shameful about myself. The first time I shot up, I looked at myself in the mirror with a big grin. You know, something was missing in me, whether it was a self-image situation, whether it was a character flaw. I came from a, stable family, the suburbs, I had a lot of advantages. There was some dark genie inside me that I very much hesitate to call a disease that led me to dope. I didn't have anyone else who could have talked me out of what I was doing. An intervention wouldn't have worked. I didn't have a child. I have a 7-year-old daughter now who I never would have had. I never would have thought. I looked in a mirror and I saw somebody worth saving, or that I wanted to at least try real hard and save. Anybody could find themselves very easily in this situation. And, I look back on that and I think about, what I'll tell my daughter, that was Daddy. Ain't no doubt about it, but I hope that I'll be able to say that was Daddy then, this is Daddy now. That I'm alive and living in hope.
Nice.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
In Massachusetts, the clam bake is a ritual going back to the Flintstones, before the Pilgrims. Today at the long-standing, locals-only shooting club Schützenverein, as it's called in German, for the immigrants who first started this rustic fraternity back in 1912. Club leader Ray Zerkowski takes me through the fascinating and arcane process of creating an old-school clam bake.
Basically, we build a kiln with hardwood and stone. We burn it down, remove the wood, we cover it with seaweed and the corn husk, and we put our clams and lobsters and corn in there like a pressure cooker right now.
Is that a pig hiding in there also?
No. We're gonna pull a tester out right now, and you can kind of see what we got here.
Let's eat.
All right.
First, some good chowder, and there really is only one kind of chowder, New England clam chowder.
Beautiful. That's good.
Steamer clams, lobster, corn, potatoes.
That's a pretty luxurious clam bake you're doing here.
That was amazing.
Everybody's attention for a second. The Opioid Education and Awareness Task Force came together several months ago. I don't think we realized how quickly this could turn into a crisis for us.
Everybody in this room has been touched by or impacted by narcotics in some way. The Franklin County Opioid Safety Task Force is a grassroots response. Doctors, law enforcement, led by Franklin County Sheriff Chris Donnellan, addiction specialists, and addicts themselves are coming together to find a community-based solution to what is finally being recognized as a public health crisis rather than simply a criminal justice problem.
It's a great opportunity to come here tonight to break bread and look at the successes that we have had so far. I think what makes me more proud than anything else about living in Franklin County is that we will not sit back and wait for anybody else to solve this problem for us. We're going to be a model for the Commonwealth and for the nation on how we save our young people and how we save our community.
You know, again, it's a change. The cities were the place where all of the bad stuff was supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to be nice towns like Greenfield, right?
It isn't the image that people used to have 20 years ago, that it's a junkie in an alley somewhere using a needle. It's not. It's your kids, it's your neighbors.
The worst, I think, is when you have these young people who break a leg and they go to the doctor and they get a prescription for Oxy and become addicted to it. These are any kid who plays a high school sport. It's a horrible circumstance when that happens.
It's only started in the past couple years. Yeah, the heroin was around, pills were around, but we didn't have people dying.
Once you've been busted for heroin, that's a hard thing to live down.
You got to get rid of that shame factor so that people can deal with it, address it, and get support from the community.
I feel like we're going to lose a whole generation of our young people. 18 to 22 is what we're seeing the most. The district attorney, the sheriff, myself, the police department are all united. This task force has grown to over 100 people in a matter of 6 months, and that's what we're committed to doing. And you know, we will do it till the day I die.
I've lost one daughter to drugs. And, you know, whatever it takes.
Let's start by being honest with ourselves. As a nation, for decades, we were perfectly happy to write off whole neighborhoods, whole cities, whole generations of young men and women, as long as it was an inner city problem, an urban problem, which is to say, a black people problem, a brown people problem. Send them to prison, into a system from which they'll never return. Maybe now that it's really come home to roost, now that it's the high school quarterback, your next door neighbor, your son, your daughter, now that grandma's as likely to be a junkie as anybody else, we'll accept that there has never been a real war on drugs. War on drugs implies an us versus them. And all over this part of America, people are learning there is no them. There is only us. And we're going to have to figure this out together. What are our expectations? Which of the things we desire are within reach? If not now, when? And will there be some left for me?
I took a walk through this beautiful world, felt the cool rain on my shoulder, found something good in this beautiful world. I felt the rain getting colder. Sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la.
China's younger generation is driving a growth in consumption. Buying power, which is coming from
This is where the real power is, China.
If you live in Manhattan like I do and you think you live in the center of the world, this place Shanghai will confront you with a very different reality. Turn down a side street, it's an ancient culture. A centuries-old mix of culinary traditions, smells, flavors. A block away, this. An ultra-modern, ever-clanging cash register, levels of wealth, of luxury, a sheer volume of things and services unimagined by the greediest, most bourgeois of capitalist imperialists. The city is split by the Huangpu River, a tributary of the Yangtze, into the older section which features the Bund and the newer built-up section of Pudong. The one thing I know for sure about China is I will never know China. It's too big, too old, too diverse, too deep. There's simply not enough time. That's for me the joy of China. Facing a learning curve that impossibly steep. The certain knowledge that even if I dedicated my life to learning about China, I'd die mostly ignorant. That's exciting. It's too much, and it's changing so fast. China has a population of around 1.3 billion people, and the number of them who are joining an explosive middle class demanding their share of all that good stuff, infrastructure, the clothes, the cars, the gas to fuel them, as well, it's the engine that might well drive the whole world.
You like Chinese food?
Very much, yes.
Okay. What do you want?
Please order, of course, yes, some good soup dumplings.
这里还有知名的是什么？是这个
Professor Zhao Lin is an economist and the current dean of the College of Economics and Management at Shanghai Jiaodong University. Like so many people you meet here, he's Chinese, but was educated in American universities and has taught at Yale, Duke, and Arizona State. So you'll forgive me, economics are not my area of expertise. I wallow in ignorance, but China looks different every time I come. It's changing so quickly. How did that happen?
China enjoy, this long period of peace. No serious enemy, no major wars.
Right.
So the manufacturing industry really took off. Internally, it's a reform and open door policy. Every country willing to trade with China.
There's certainly no doubt that at this point, our destinies are inextricably bound up. We are our economies are hopelessly intermingled. If one fails, the effect would be disastrous.
Global impact.
We are, to say the least.
It's certainly. 好好好。
This is what I was waiting for. Xiaolong bao, literally small steaming basket buns. But I translate them in my head to pillows of happiness that will scald your tongue and throat if you don't know what you're doing. Look, there are a lot of reasons to come to China, and to Shanghai in particular. But these babies, done right, these things alone are worth the trip. Ground pork and shrimp, folded exactly and always 20 times inside freshly made, individually rolled out dough. As they're steamed, the delicious fat renders into a soup of the gods, which then, if you're not careful, causes unforgettable maxillofacial damage as it changes your life forever. Oh, so good. In the China of the future, places like this, Fuchun Xiaolong, will be even more packed by Chinese, by expats, by visitors looking for the deeply satisfying rush of screamingly hot goodness. The chewy, deeply savory, fragrant, perfectly shaped and folded, ballistically designed delivery vehicles for pure pleasure. And the allure of Shanghai-style pork chop, jiaozhu pei, served with la jiangyo, the local take on Worcestershire sauce. It's irresistible.
So I really believe that the world is converging, and China will be privatizing more and more.
Right.
The difficulty nowadays, it's just the technology is so advanced, we don't really need that many people to do things that many people used to. And with the population, 7 billion people, the world probably doesn't need that many people working anymore.
Right.
So the question is that, what should human beings do? You know? How can you let them not doing anything and then still living a good life?
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be a big issue that can face the whole world.
What is the future? I don't know. But to a very great extent, it is surely being determined here. Is there a plan? Probably not. Only appetites. And increasingly, the means to fulfill those appetites, those dreams and aspirations. Who will drive the car that takes us to wherever we are going? They will be young, whoever they are, and not unlike Yao Minji, a 30-year-old Shanghai native educated in the USA at Wellesley, currently a features reporter for the Shanghai Daily. She may be the picture of modern China, but this is Minji's favorite restaurant, Chun. China, and Shanghai in particular, might be transforming fast, but this place stays resolutely the same. Mrs. Xu runs the place, serving classic, home-style Shanghainese. There's no menu, no waiting list. Oh! And you only get a seat if she likes you.
Oh, I ordered too much, sorry.
It's fantastic.
I was trying to get all my favorite dishes.
No, I'm very happy.
We're joined by Minji's friends, Lu Jing, an artist, and Matthew Lei, a restaurateur.
This looks fantastic. How do you eat these? Whole?
I eat them whole because I really like this. Ooh.
That works.
Good, yeah.
Oh, they're good.
I think they cook it in a few seconds. That's the secret.
Youbao sha are tiny little shrimp, deep fried first, and then quickly tossed in the wok with garlic, ginger, salt, and soy. What is classic Shanghainese food? What's distinctive about it? Well, this, for instance, it's often black or dark and heavily inflected with oil, soy, and sugar. Shanghai is, and has been for some time, a city of immigrants, and the food reflects that genealogy. A combination of people from neighboring Zhejiang province, known for their liberal use of sugar, soy, and vinegar, and from Jiangsu province, known for fresh ingredients and attention to preserving the aliveness of its dishes. It's the best of both worlds. Great sauces, great ingredients. There's Hung Shao Rou, braised pork belly in a deep red glaze of dark and light soy sauce, cinnamon, sugar, and anise. Hung Shao Chong Yu, a small fish poached first in rice wine, salt, and light soy, then fried in ginger, garlic, oil, more soy, and sugar until the liquids reduce into a gorgeous, sticky sauce. Zhong Ya, duck that's been marinated, blanched, then reheated, smothered in a sauce made from the reduced drippings left in the wok with dark soy, salt, and sugar. And this to round things out, Yandu Xin, a clay pot soup of bean curd-based stock with salted pork belly, tofu ribbons, and bamboo shoots.
Oh, good flavor. This is a socialist country, supposedly.
Yeah.
It's a communist country, supposedly. It is, in fact, from all evidence that I've ever seen, the most dynamic capitalist country on earth. What do you think about that?
I think a lot of my Western friends come here thinking China is a posh version of North Korea or the party controls everything. But they come here, they're surprised. It's actually not that much. They do seem to be promoting the free market even more with the free trade zone just established in Shanghai. So it's amazing.
From what I see everywhere I go, the world is becoming more Chinese. Chinese influence, Chinese food. If you build a casino in Vegas or a hotel in Singapore, you have to consider what will the Chinese think. Is that exciting?
It's exciting that we finally have an influence that we wouldn't. Like China is sort of in the spotlight, in the center of the stage now, that we wouldn't have dreamed of, like, say, only a decade ago.
For me, I think, the communist menace that we used to always talk about in America, I think the most terrifying scenario is that China becomes a completely free market, non-socialist, non-communist society because you'd bury us. I love few things more than quoting that impeccable communist Deng Xiaoping. To be rich is glorious. All isms are wasms. Dig deep, and it's always about the money. Meet Tim Say, resident of Communist China, a man of impeccable taste, one of more than 150,000 Shanghainese millionaires, accustomed to the good life.
We take the seawater out, replace with champagne. We have it all at once. Hopefully you like it.
He likes nice things, and he makes Donald Trump's garish ticky-tacky empire look like the back of Paulie D's van. Where are these from? They're great.
France.
They're from France. Fantastic. Wow, they're in good shape. Good choice,
Yes.
too.
Well, we keep them happy. Every single one is flying from jet with little seatbelt, so they're nice and happy and safe.
Apparently. Tim is an investor into real estate, telecoms, and the newly expanding service industries of the new China. He's also the president of Roosevelt China Investments, a very old company with a long history doing business here, created by the Roosevelt family. Maybe you've heard of them. This is his clubhouse. Really, the House of Roosevelt on the Bund, right in the middle of it all. Wine is big here now. The French chateaus, more and more, they look to China as the indicators of price, as the market maker. Tim alone has stocked around 4,000 labels here. China in general bought 2 billion bottles of red wine last year alone. Think about that for a minute. They are now the leading market for red wine in the world. It's pretty amazing here.
Wow, I designed this place in 5 minutes. I look at this place for like 6 months. Daytime, nighttime, and finally one morning I say, I'm gonna make a wine salon out of this.
Looks so good.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Well, this is nice.
Hi.
Tim has invited me to dinner alongside a few people that have taken full advantage of the booming economy in China. There's Eva Wang, an architect and designer. Daniel Zheng, a real estate developer. And Coco Shu, a party planner. So you eat like this all the time? Nice wine cellar?
Twice a night. Today we're surrounded by Southern French wine and Northern Italian wines. And if you like it, you can eat in different districts of wine country every night.
Isn't this supposed to be communist China? I mean, it seems like
Can I
a
ask one question? Are they any one of the Communist Party comrades, party member?
No, I'm kidding. I'm a bit of a red diaper baby, but no, what I mean to say is, it just seems that the realm of the possible here is very big.
Absolutely, it's a big stage. I mean, in New York City or in other places in the world, you can see that you might build a massive project, but that's probably the only one in the whole city. But in Shanghai, there's 10 massive projects going on, and there's 10 more coming up in the next couple of years. You know,
it's a big world, big city, but small village at the end. And I think food is the best weapons on earth to make peace. It's the food, and it's the drink. We have better peace on earth. And you're probably the United Nations ambassador.
In time.
And these little shrooms are from South Pole. And only New Zealand has the right to farm them. So try it. With your wasabi if you like.
A lot of Chinese restaurants in New York.
I grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and even then, Chinese restaurant, Chinese food was really an essential part of being a New Yorker. I mean, if you didn't know how to use chopsticks as a New Yorker, you were a terrible New Yorker.
Now, we don't ask one thing. Do you know how to speak like a Brooklyn person?
It's a tough accent. Queens is easier, you know, it's a more of a I can't. I mean, I live right next to it my whole life.
Can you say?
But I mean, the accent.
No, we don't want to hear
a Brooklyn expression.
Tonight I just want to hear.
Not for nothing.
What?
Not for nothing.
That's Brooklyn.
Not for nothing, but
Nothing.
Not for nothing, but you know, I could really use a little more wine.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. No.
Nothing.
Not for nothing.
Nothing.
Not for. All right.
Shanghai chef Jackie Shu prepares a meal of a style that will become, without a doubt, more and more typical and in demand here among those who can afford it. And more people every day can afford it.
What is it?
So we have tomato and potato, and that's it. What else do we have?
Lobster tomahawk. Australian Wagyu beef, a massive, perfectly cooked tomahawk chop. Coming in the door at up to $150 a pound, that includes bones and fat. This is about $1,000 worth of steak, bitches. Even if Tim wanted to serve good old USA beef, still the finest on earth in my opinion, he can't. China has banned imports of US beef over concerns about mad cow disease. While they carve, a quick trip behind the bookshelf.
And now I want you to show your special place.
Wow.
So you name your label, the Village of Wines. I think most of the chance we have it. And so this size is all our interesting wine that they can keep aging themselves.
This is the house collection.
That's correct. Right. And I want to show you the membership area. Our newest member, Anthony Bourdain.
It's me?
And it's all of our Roosevelt collection of wines. Please, open it. Ah.
Wow, cool. It's good being me. Thank you.
It's good having you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, close that up, man. Wait a minute.
Close it up.
Here's the thing. Even with the modern China rising out of the ground all around you, even with all the things, the same things you see for sale everywhere where people have money these days, even with all that, there's still this China. Shoning Road, just south of People's Square. It's still happening. The good, old stuff. The China you first fell in love with. Walk down the street and look in any direction, and there's something to eat. I may not know what it is immediately, but chances are, it's good. We talk about foodies, and what the hell does that mean? By current definition, best I can understand it, that makes just about every Chinese person I ever laid eyes on a foodie. Which is to say, a perfectly reasonable person who enjoys and pays attention to where the good stuff is. Look at this, one street, and look, stuffed oysters grilled over charcoal. Snake treats? Why, yes. And yes, it does taste kind of like chicken. There used to be a lot of streets like this, full of Dai Pai Dong, where you could look, shop around, and eat all out in the open. A happy, riotous, delicious torrent of food. But the government, as governments do, are tightening the screws. Old is bad, new is good. Not everybody thinks this is a good idea, though. Bill Wang was born in Shanghai and studied here at Tongji University. He began teaching English before he was out of college. He suggested we meet at Erguang Wonton, and there may be wonton stalls all over Shanghai, but Bill says this one is the one.
So you're an English teacher?
Yes.
Most of the people I meet of Chinese background who speak English their teachers were British, sometimes Australian or New Zealand, and they have those expressions and that accent. Maybe more and more these days, I guess, younger generation, there's more and more of that sort of TV accent. Is that good or bad?
I think it's good. You know,
TV series, especially American TV series, are so popular in China.
What are the most popular American shows in China?
Right now, House of Cards.
House of Cards?
Yeah, so popular.
House of Cards?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's really interesting. What do you think the appeal is here?
You know, in the show, American, they can talk about president.
Right.
In China, there's no way you can talk about those sensitive topics. So many people love that show. It's really, really good.
Wow. That's really
a
surprise to me. Wow, these are huge.
Yes, wonton. It's okay, just put it in.
There you go. Good.
Is it good?
Minced pork, bok choy, some ginger moistened with rice wine, soy. It all gets mixed up nicely and folded into the dough. Boiled till just right, then sauced with a powerful mix of soy sauce, vinegar, chili sauce, sesame oil, and peanut butter. So you got a kind of sweet, savory, acidy, salty, spicy, umami thing going on with every bite. You want this. Believe me, you want this bad. In fact, you need it.
What do your students want to do when they enter the professional field? What's the dream?
I think this generation, a lot of them are lost. They don't know what to do. If you ask like a university student, what is your dream?
Right.
My dream is to buy an apartment in Shanghai, buy a car, that kinds of things.
Are there enough jobs for everybody?
It's becoming more and more competitive.
Right.
Everybody wants the best job, but it's only very few of them out there. But I think there's like a huge gap between company and new graduates.
Right.
Company wants experienced workers.
Right.
The new graduates also want a good job.
Now.
But now. They are not ready for it.
Right.
So they don't want to do some, hard work, start from scratch.
Right.
So that's the problem, I guess.
It looks to me, China in general, Shanghai in particular, is changing very, very fast.
Very, very fast.
Every time I come, it's different. And in your recent memory, in the last 10 years, what's the most noticeable change to you?
Food like this is becoming more and more difficult to find. But this is handmade. And I think it's real food. It's not very expensive and it tastes great. But a lot of food are, processed food right now. And also, of course, it's internet. It has pros and cons, of course. The good part is that you can get information easily.
Right.
The bad part is that people don't talk to each other. Even like two people go to a restaurant, like a couple, they take pictures and use their cell phone, they don't talk to each other.
They're communicating with everybody else in the world, but who's at the table.
Maybe they don't enjoy their life, or what's the point, right? So I think
it didn't happen until you tweeted, as we say.
Oh my God.
What's clear very quickly here is the way China claims things are, the way things are supposed to be as far as permissible social media and access to information, and the way they actually are, two different things. Meet Thomas Yao, hacker turned entrepreneur. He recently received significant startup money to build what he calls an open source project sharing platform to connect Chinese college students with the world.
Now, when you say hacking, what do you do when you hack? What's the intent?
Actually, it starts from MIT. If you go to the computer science and artificial intelligence building in MIT, it will show you the definition of hack. It's actually a very positive word, but it became a very negative word.
Right.
So the word hacker is to describe the people who are really, they really like programming, and they love to share information, just like cooking. You love to share recipes to other friends who love cooking as well.
Legally, there might be something wrong with it, but morally, do you think there's anything wrong with, you're essentially breaking into an information base?
Yes.
I'm not doing any damage.
Yes.
I'm going to go in, I'm going to look around, I'm going to see how things work, and I'll leave without disturbing anything. Would most hackers say that that's okay?
Yes. Yes.
It's in the service of knowledge, that's
It's okay for most hackers in our communities. I was lucky. I got into a very big hacker community here in Shanghai and met a lot of great mentors.
Started in business at 21.
Exactly.
Quite an accomplishment.
I didn't go to the college.
You didn't go to college?
I didn't go to the college.
Why not?
Most professors are way behind the development speed of the communities.
Why? The country is so advanced in so many other ways. Why in this area?
The network problem here in China. We have GFW, the Great Firewall, and it blocked a lot of important information websites inside China, and a lot of people, they can't get cutting-edge technologies, which we don't teach in college at all. And so the human resource problem and the manpower problem is more and more serious, getting more and more serious here in China.
Because everyone's going to the Silicon Valley.
They offer better, obviously. All here the deal.
These are the famous ribs?
Yes.
Maybe the #1 thing that the seriously food-crazed traveler coming back from Shanghai will tell you to eat, other than the soup dumplings, of course, Ziran Paigu, or simply cumin ribs. It takes 2 cooks working at once to make this dish. One deep fries the ribs in hot oil until just right. Another toasts the ginger, cumin, and other spices in a wok. And then, in go the ribs. And if you're a devotee of what's called wok hei, you sit as close to the kitchen as possible to capture that elusive, fast-dissipating breath, flavor of the wok itself. Toss them around, coating those bones with all that good stuff, then serve. And because we like it to burn, Thomas orders some laza jiding, a spicy chicken dish. Hei means energy, life force, or breath. And that's what you're looking for, the vestigial flavor, the essence of a very old, carefully seasoned cooking vessel. Oddly enough, Thomas tells me there's no Mandarin, or at least Shanghainese, word for wok. It's simply called a cooking pot. To which I say, I really do know nothing about this country.
Oh, fantastic. Wow.
It's actually so-so.
Yeah?
It's actually so-so.
No, you're not loving that?
Not too good, but it's not bad.
To me, and I've eaten a lot of food, look, this is spicy, fresh, bright, vibrant.
After this, I will take you guys to I will take you somewhere better.
So are you a foodie?
Yeah, I eat a lot.
Were you born here? You're from Shanghai?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Shanghai.
At least in modern times, it's hard to imagine that any place has changed as profoundly and is changing as quickly as it is changing here.
We really feel proud. Really feel proud. Our qualities of life is improving really, really fast.
In a poll, 85% of Chinese who were asked the question, do you feel that your life will be better next year? 85% said, yes, it will be better next year. This is an extraordinary
number.
I don't know a lot of other countries that would say that.
Yeah.
Well, that looks great. Oh, the famous chicken. So good.
Not bad.
You know, I'm finding this food really, really delicious. And you're saying it's okay.
It's really so-so.
Wow.
Shanghai is one of the biggest cities in the world right now. A global financial center and transportation hub and the world's busiest port. You can smell the money. But maybe the real story is the newly emerging participants in global capitalism. The middle class, the working class, who also want flat-screen TVs and cars and vacations and the promise of better for their kids. Take this couple, Typical working-class Chinese from the workers' paradise. Mei Ning, a bus driver, and Dong Yunyang, his bride-to-be. Today is their wedding day, and custom must be observed. When it comes to weddings, the Chinese have always gone big, and these days, bigger still. Lots of food, lots of booze, lots of people. Getting crazy, which is why Thomas and I have become wedding crashers. The Constellation Bar for a pre-wedding drink. The classic Chinese cocktail, the Moscow Mule. Okay, maybe not Chinese.
These are good.
Yeah. This is the reason I love this place.
Are you married?
No, no.
No, not yet.
I'm not a big fan of marriage.
You've been to weddings, yes?
Yes.
Have you ever crashed a wedding before?
Nope.
It's gonna be a little weird. I mean, we don't know anybody there. How do you do? Well, I hope the food's good at this thing. You probably have a lot of drinks.
It could be really crazy. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-oh.
They drink a lot.
Really? So, ready to crash a wedding?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Cheers. When you go across the road here.
Yeah.
A Chinese wedding is not cheap. You need a banquet room. In this case, the families rented out this place at the historic Park Hotel Shanghai. Chinese weddings, generally speaking, mean the presence of a number of formalities. First, meet the bride and groom upon entering. Red envelope, also known as the hung bao. Like in Goodfellas, it's a little something for the bride and groom. Help them get started in their new life.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome.
Okay, table setting, often with some must-haves present. Booze, whiskey, smokes for the guests.
So this is kind of like a traditional Chinese wedding. They will rent a hotel and...
Oh, I know. I do this every week. I go from hotel to hotel, and I crash weddings.
Okay.
Roast duck? That I will have, of course, and some banyu du, or beef tripe in garlic sauce. Kona crab, shelled and then sautéed in garlic and ginger before being stuffed back into the shell. Steamed turbo with scallions.
For some wedding as in China, they will have this kind of meal for whole 2 days, whole weekend.
So I'm telling you, we should do this every week. I'll come back. I'm gonna move to Shanghai, and you and me, twice a week, we'll just go to weddings.
禁止之外呢，当然少不了的还有他们爱情永恒不变的信物。所以下面我们就请2位伴娘为新郎新娘送上结婚对戒。
美满幸福，恩爱永远。谢谢。
那新郎，现在你可以大胆的亲吻你的新娘了。
You may kiss your bride.
And there is, of course, drinking. Much drinking.
She wants to chill with you.
Come back. It begins. When I first came to China, was for business, and one after the other, everyone at the table came up and said, "Ah, Mr. Bourdain, I would like to do a drink with you," and they, all of it. I didn't know how to politely say no. I can't. I just kept doing it and doing it. I got super up. I ended up going like to karaoke. I ended up singing a Billy Idol song. So I think I sang White Wedding. She's making it a personal mission to get me seriously drunk. I'm just wondering how you got out of that. When I sat down and I looked around the table and I tried to figure out, okay, who at this table is going to try really hard to get me drunk? I wouldn't have guessed it was going to be her.
She drinks this white wine all day long. I can drink a lot, but I just don't like the taste of it.
Look, we have to get this straight. That is not wine. That's like grain alcohol. That's what we call liquor.
Oh, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're clear on that.
Now, this is a small wedding by most standards, about 100 guests, but just booking the room took 2 years. A toast, followed by many more toasts, to the bride, to the groom, to happiness, to prosperity. There is a place, there is always a place, where something delicious in a bowl is waiting just for you. Down a street, down an alley, there's a place like this one, where locals will tell you the good stuff lives. They call this stuff long leg noodles, because they say the woman who runs it is tall. Noodles for me are a solitary pleasure between me and my bowl. Fen Li and husband Chi Fun Wang understand this, I think. Now, this is a deceptively good business. What used to be a typical, low-cost, working-class stall of the Dai Pai Dong street variety has in fact blown up, along with the rest of the economy. Rich kids and TV guys like me want to eat here, and they do. How do you make a bowl of perfect happiness? Cook noodles in boiling water, liberally flavored with chilies and lard. Immerse your cooked noodles in a soy-inflected bath of deeply sinister, deeply pleasurable pork stock. Little bit of baby bok choy, heat for a few seconds, simmering, then garnish with a bit of slowly cooked, heavily reduced, almost candied pork. Then suck those noodles loudly and enjoy. Where are we going? Who will drive us there? What will it be like when we get there? I think it will look like this.